All right, guys. So today we are going to do a few things to the Lexus chassis itself. Right now we're sitting at Sonic waiting on some food. Got a chicken strip dinner coming. Stopped at AutoZone and got some air fresheners for this car, a new belt, 6 new NGK copper spark plugs, and an assortment of sandpaper. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna bust out the stock exhaust from the IS300 and we're just gonna sand on it. That's pretty much probably gonna be it for today. Gonna sand all the rust off of the axle back, the axle back portion of the exhaust, because that's long term. That's the only piece I'm gonna keep is the factory muffler. So the plan right now is I have an event to go to in October. We're gonna mate the stock exhaust to the 3-inch downpipe, and then keep the stock exhaust under the car for the event because it's just too loud how it is right now. When we get back from the event, we're gonna make an exact replica including the flanges of the stock mid pipe, except from instead of 2 1/4 inch, we're gonna make it 3-inch. And then we're gonna mate that to the stock exhaust and then the stock axle back. So we're gonna have 3-inch downpipe, 3-inch mid pipe, and then the stock 2 1/4 inch axle back and muffler. And then eventually, after we get that set up into the car, we're gonna fit an electric cutout on it too, so that way I can switch it to an open exhaust when I'm racing or something like that, and it'll just be 3-inch, and then I can close it and be quiet around town, or at least that's the plan. So that's the goal for that. But to do that, we're going to have to sand on the exhaust because it's a little rusty. It's been outside for about a year now. And so we're gonna sand on the muffler, or at least the goal. I don't know how it's gonna turn out, but we're gonna sand on the muffler a good bit with multiple grits of sandpaper. And then I have an orbital polisher. We may not get to that part today, but we're gonna get some metal polish eventually as well. Polish up that tailpipe piece. So yeah, that's it. What is that, Riley? Huh? What is that? What is it, huh? I've never heard you make a noise like that. What is it? Okay, so stock exhaust. What we're working on is this piece right here, the little tail section. We're gonna hopefully put that back in the car. Got here, tires a little flat. The other ones are fine, but the front driver's side is leaking, so that's not very good. It means I'm gonna probably end up having to buy a new tire. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the sandpaper on here and do that for a little bit. I'm gonna do the most aggressive, which is, I think is 180. Yeah, I have some 180 grit in here. Probably gonna go ahead and start with that. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and just do this for a little bit. It's gonna take a while, so I'll update if we make any decent progress. So sanded on it for like 2 hours, and this is the progress. The actual muffler piece and the tip is actually shiny again and silver. This was just with 180 grit, so I'm gonna have to go over this a good bit more with some higher grade, but I'm worried less about that now that it actually looks halfway presentable. So yeah, that's where we're gonna stop on this for the time being. But let me go ahead and go inside and show you guys the stuff that we have now. Some stuff came in the mail. And let me go into higher detail of what I plan to do with the exhaust on this thing. Okay, so this stuff came in today. Here we have a reducer. This is 3 to 2 1/4 inch. That is to mate our downpipe to the stock exhaust. So yeah, we're gonna go with that. Ordered some of the rubber isolators for the exhaust hangers because I couldn't get mine off because they were so old, and so I had to cut my old ones. So I ordered a new set. These are red, but I mean they're the same exact things, and they're actually softer rubber because they're not old as hell. So these will work just fine. And then these are some fittings. We're gonna go ahead and try these out on the exhaust. These are for some hoses for some for transmission lines. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and try these out in the transmission. if I got the sizing right, then these should just thread into the stock fittings right there. So let's take a look and see, shall we? We have the downpipe right over here just laying down. It's got a V-band on it to a 3-inch mid pipe with a resonator. The plan is to put all of this into the car as far back as we can, and then put the little slip connector wherever it lines up with this exhaust. Because the only part of this exhaust we're going to keep is the muffler. And so I would like to keep the axle back section and then cut this all up to fit to the axle back, so I can have 3-inch straight all the way from the motor back to the axle back. And then eventually, I'm not really sure when, but the plan is to put a electric cutout at the end of the actual mid-pipe section, so that way whenever I'm around town, I can just flip it closed and we'll have some nice solid stock muffler action going on there. And then whenever we're racing, just flip it to 3-inch open, so we won't have any restrictions or be down on power. So that is the goal for that. Starting Saturday off with a candy bar and a drink. We are at the gas station. All right, so we're about to go work on the Lexus, and today we're gonna take the front wheels off because I got new tires coming, jack the car up, put it on stands, try to mount the power steering reservoir, change the belt, change the plugs, and all in all, basically get the chassis ready to have the motor put in. And then tomorrow we're probably gonna put the motor in. But anyway, it's Saturday, so I hope you guys are having a great weekend. Let's get this stuff done. Okay, so we're gonna take this tire off, and we got one over here that's flat. That one had a knot in it a long time ago. So, I mean, I knew that one was pretty bad. And so I ordered 2 new tires, some Federals, some Stickies, and we're going to put those on the stock wheels. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this wheel, put it in the trunk as the spare, because I have a spare wheel, I just don't have a rim on it. And then I'll put one of the new tires on that, and then the other one over there. So we'll have 2 new tires and then 1 solid spare. And then once we get this thing running and everything, I'm going to take it to get aligned and rotated and balanced and whatnot. But that's pretty much going to be what we're going to start off doing. We're going to go ahead and loosen these nuts while it's on the ground. We're going to jack the car up and we're going to put it on stands. So that way we can go ahead, pop the hood, work on getting power steering reservoir mounted, and then it'll be jacked up whenever we put the motor in it. Breaker bar really helps. Anyway, we got the 2 front wheels off, but in doing so, we managed to break a wheel stud. One of these got seized on there, so gonna have to eventually replace that when I get the new tires mounted. And so also we have some new spark plugs. These are the BK7REs or whatever they're called, the copper plugs, turbo cars. New belt, and then new Mishimoto power steering reservoir. I don't know exactly where we're gonna be able to mount that. I'm gonna attempt to clean up some of these hoses and mount it somewhere over there, but that's pretty much the only place we're gonna be able to mount it. But we need to put it somewhere so we can get power steering in this car. So anyways, going to work on all of this. Yeah. All right, so these are the spark plugs. Cylinders 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now the last 2 are really bad because that's where the oil was leaking on the like from the valve cover. But the actual like plug itself doesn't really look that bad. You can just tell we've been running rich, which is expected considering we're still stock ECU. So anyways, what I'm gonna do now is we're actually gonna put these back in the car for a second. And then I'm going to degrease down the plug valley cover and try to clean it up a little bit because it's just gross. I used a vacuum to get all the crud out of it, so it should just be like oil residue. So nothing should fall down into the combustion chamber, so we should be good there. I'm just going to lightly put these plugs back down in there to keep as much of this degreaser from seeping down in there as possible. And then I'm just going to give it a good wipe with some paper towels or shop towels or whatever, and go from there. And then we will put the new plugs in, then the new belt, and then depending on what time it is when we do that, might actually try putting this motor in today. As far as the container for the power steering fluid. We're just gonna put it over there. I found a bolt over there that I can make me a little jig adapter to bolt that thing in just to hard mount it, and then run the power steering hose up through there and then back down through the little like ledge right there to the pump. And that should give us power steering, which is really nice considering this car actually hasn't had power steering since I've done this motor swap. So anyways, other than that, guys, we're gonna go ahead and just get straight to work, and I'll show you guys my progress once I get this cleaned up, the new belt put on, and the new plugs put in, and I'll just update you guys then. So stay tuned. Okay, so yesterday we got the plugs cleaned up and put in, or the plug valley cleaned up and new plugs put in, belt put on, all that stuff done. Found a place to mount my power steering reservoir over there in the corner. So now today we're gonna move these lines right here out the way, take this bumper off, and stick this thing off in there. So that's what we're doing today. I'm gonna go ahead and prep this car by taking the bumper off and moving some lines out of the way, and then we will go ahead and drop this thing in there. Well, after struggling for a while to get this thing in without having to dismantle the front, we just went ahead and tore apart the front. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just stick it off in there now and start rebuilding everything, and then we'll worry about hard mounting the motor. So I'm gonna get this thing put in and then put the front end back together, and I'll update you guys then. Guys, so this is what we're finishing with. We have the 2JZ put in, the transmission is in, and the drive shaft is connected as well. So that is what we're working with. I don't know why we have a leak. I think that, yeah, that's from the transmission fittings. Yep, from whenever we were putting the motor in. Anyway, this is it. Got it put in the car, and so now all we gotta do is hook all the stuff electrically up. We need to fill the AC compressor with oil since it's a new compressor, hook up the power steering hoses to the pump, and then top off fluids once we put in the front end. So not a whole lot left to do, but we are still waiting on my tires to come in for the front, and we're going to change that stud right there as well. But that's pretty much going to do it for this video, guys. We are making IS300's great again, and going to get this thing on the road soon enough. So we ought to have this thing started up at least by the end of this week, and hopefully maybe running by then as well if my tires come in. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. If you like what we're doing here, subscribe for more and hit that like button because it really helps, and comment what you think about the video, what you think I should do to it, and just simple let me know how you feel about the build. Other than that, guys, have a great day. Peace.